We will see now the scenario module, which has a set of scenarios covering specific topics of FortiSOAR. To access the module, we need to go to Help, Scenario. Then we have here the default ones that are installed with the content pack. Of course, you can deploy or create your own scenarios. A scenario is basically a description, so a very quick description to describe what the scenario aims at, what are the objectives of this particular, for example, scenario, maybe a diagram that would be good for the person who conducts the demo to understand, to have an overview of the scenario, and the scenario steps, which are basically a set of alerts that are sent periodically to illustrate the message we want to convey with this particular scenario. A scenario can be executed either by clicking the Run Scenario button within the scenario module itself, or it can be executed or can be deployed via the Deploy Scenario button of the alert module. So in this example, we will go through a scenario. Let's take the stolen credentials leading to exfiltration, to data exfiltration. So we select the scenario, we click Deploy. We will have a set of playbooks which will run in the background. We can check them quickly here. We can set the filter to active playbooks, so we'll see which playbooks are being executed. And as you can see, we have here the playbook responsible to run the different steps of the scenario. And we'll have the alerts created as per the configuration of the scenario. And a quick look here shows clearly that we have a modification of the firewall rules, and then followed by a user creation, and then a privilege escalation, Windows scheduled task. This is most likely a lateral movement or persistence, and then finally a data exfiltration. So let's take a look at the first alert chronologically. We can see here that we have this user which was used to modify the firewall policy. We can see here that a rule was created which allows specifically RDP 3398 port to the internal host. After that, we have so we can still filter chronologically. So we have a user being created. So we can see here that the same user is involved in the second task, where we have a user notice the username which was created. It's administrator instead of administrator, so it can easily confuse the analyst. And misread the name and think that's a regular administrator account. And then, well, that's quite clear. The password, setting the password, and a privilege escalation, which is typically to assign the user, the newly created user, to the administrator's group. And then we have this scheduled task, which typically indicates a persistence. So basically, it guarantees that even if a downloaded malicious code is deleted, it will be always it will spin back each time the scheduled task is executed. And finally, a typical data exfiltration after a malicious code is installed on the infected machine. What we see here, common for most of these alerts, is the username involved with this attack, and this is where the main message of this scenario comes in. So we basically want to show the record similarity feature. The record similarity feature can be configured right here in the recommendation settings, similar records. And here we can select which fields we want to use to identify similar records. In our case, it's a username, so we need to modify this. We have to set it as a username. We can set multiple fields and assign a specific weight for each individual field. We can have a filter. We can specify actually which specific playbooks to run on these similar records, and we can also choose what display we want to have for these similar records. All right, so this being done, we can see clearly here that we have at least, well, we have these 4 more alerts which share the same field, the same attribute, in this case this username, which indicates that all of these alerts belong to the same attack. So we can select all of these alerts, including this one, and then escalate the whole to an incident. So this attack in general is a credential theft followed by exfiltration. We can give it a higher priority, an incident lead, and we escalate it into an incident, which typically goes to a tier 2 analyst in a production environment, in a SOC environment. So we go to analysts, and we have our incident here. The incident basically has a graphical correlation which indicates what's the relationship between each element of this incident. So we can see here clearly that we have this user Jack linked to all these different incidents, different alerts, sorry. The same thing, we can see all the alerts related to this incident listed in the alert, in the correlation in the alert tab. All right, and that's basically the purpose of this demo, which is the similarity, the record similarity feature.